The hot sun glistened on the boundless fields of Gaugamela, and the ground shook with the promise of a titanic battle. Two powerful empires' futures were in jeopardy in 331 BCE. Alexander the Great, the youthful Macedonian monarch, was positioned on one side. His military prowess and ambition had already paved the way for his conquest of the entire known globe. King Darius III of Persia stood in his way, determined to repel the invading force and protect his large and ancient realm. It was the prelude to one of the most dramatic and important conflicts in history. Aware of the danger presented by Alexander's relentless assault, Darius selected the Gaugamela plains for their vastness in the hopes of making use of his greater military might and powerful war chariots. His army greatly outnumbered the Macedonian forces, being a gigantic force recruited from all throughout the Persian Empire. Despite the overwhelming odds, Alexander took great care to train his men, and instilled in them the discipline and confidence that had come to define his reputation. The two armies faced each other across the plain as dawn broke on the day of the battle. Standing in the middle of his army, Darius had his men arrayed in a fierce column, his war elephants and best cavalry ready to deal a mortal blow. With scythe blades on their wheels, his war chariots were designed to sever the lines of the Macedonians with terrible force. Alexander maintained his composure in the face of the formidable Persian exhibition, his keen intellect already formulating a plan to outwit and outmaneuver his adversary. Alexander's strategy depended on his capacity to take advantage of the Persian army's flaws and the terrain. With his heavy cavalry, the companion cavalry, under his direct command on the right flank, he positioned his soldiers in a flexible configuration. His light cavalry and skirmishers were positioned on the left, while his infantry, which included the fearsome phalanx, formed the center. This setup gave him the flexibility to react quickly to Darius's actions and change course as the conflict progressed. With a booming roar, the battle broke out as both sides charged forward. In an attempt to breach the Macedonian defenses as soon as possible, Darius launched his war chariots. However, Alexander foresaw this action and gave the order to create lanes, letting the chariots to pass through unharmed while his soldiers precisely targeted the charioteers. Darius's warriors were momentarily stunned as a result of the Persian chariot onslaught, being disarmed by the efficiency of this move. Taking the initiative, Alexander drove deep into the Persian lines with the cavalry charge on the right flank. Renowned for their agility and discipline, the companion cavalry mercilessly dispatched the opposition. Alexander made a daring and decisive move just as the Persian left flank started to crumble. With a small group of his best horsemen under his command, he spun around and charged straight for the Persian center, intending to hit Darius. The Persian ranks were in disarray as a result of the unexpected and bold onslaught. When Darius realized there was danger, he became frightened and ran from the battle, leaving his army to perish. The Persian troops were discouraged by seeing their king in flight, which led to the collapse of their lines and a waning of their fight. Alexander sensed triumph and launched an assault, his army pursuing the fleeing adversary with unrelenting vigor. Even while the war was overwhelmingly successful, there were some dangerous moments. After being first pressed hard by the Persian cavalry, the Macedonian left flank found itself in a vulnerable position. However, Parmenion, Alexander's reliable general, remained steadfast, organizing his army and averting a possible catastrophe. Alexander was able to keep up pressure on the Persian forces. Because of this unwavering resistance, which made sure the Macedonian lines held, Alexander's great tactical acumen and army discipline were demonstrated in the Battle of Gaugamela. Together with his audacious and resolute efforts on the battlefield, his ability to foresee and counter Darius's methods ensured a decisive win. Alexander was able to march unchallenged into the heart of Persia. Once the Achaemenid Empire began to crumble due to the defeat of the Persian army, Alexander's status as an unbeatable military leader was solidified following the fight. The triumph at Gaugamela proved his tactical genius, as well as his capacity to motivate and guide soldiers through the most difficult obstacles. It was a watershed moment in history, as Alexander's empire reached previously unheard of proportions, and signaled the beginning of a new period dominated by Greek culture and influence. As one of the most important military conflicts in history, the Battle of Gaugamela leaves a lasting legacy. It was a conflict between empires and values as much as forces. Alexander's triumph changed the course of history by introducing Hellenistic culture over the large lands he subjugated and creating the groundwork for the subsequent civilizations that arose in its aftermath. The world had altered forever when the dust descended on the Gaugamela plains. The tale of Alexander the Great and his victory against Darius III serves as a potent reminder of the value of planning, leadership, and the unwavering resolve to succeed in the face of overwhelming adversity.